Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the park. I've been wandering the paths, checking fences, watching the guests point and gasp, and there's a fresh update that actually changes how your parks feel, not just how they look on a patch note spreadsheet. I'm going to walk you through what's new, what quietly fixes headaches you might have assumed were just part of the experience, and how to tweak your builds so you get fewer uh-oh moments and more oh wow moments. I'll also share a couple of layouts and settings I've been using that make the new systems shine. Let's start with the crowd pleaser. There's a new family unit joining the roster, Kentrosaurus. If you remember it from the last game, it's not just a copy-paste. This time it arrives as a full family with male, female, and juveniles. That matters because family units aren't just more species in the list. They bring social behaviors and cohabitation possibilities that help you shape habitats with character. This stegosaurid doesn't want to live alone in a corner. It likes having compatible neighbors, and that opens up some clever mixed exhibits without the stress spikes that come from pairing the wrong families. If you've been building storybook paddocks, little diorama-style spaces that look like a natural valley or a fern-filled grove, Kentrosaurus slots right in, giving you motion in the scene without constant brawls or panics. It's free content and it's a solid choice for early expansion in a new save. Now for something that quietly improves daily life in your parks, dinosaurs move smarter around scenery. Pathfinding got a tune so animals can travel beneath and around decorative pieces more reliably. Practically, this means fewer moments where a dino looks like it's stuck on a bench or a rock cluster you lovingly placed for vibes. If you're detail-obsessed with your landscaping, placing fallen logs, small boulders, and planters to make photo spots, this change adds freedom. You don't need to keep carving awkward clear corridors through your pretty sections. Your exhibits can look natural and still function. Pair that with a round of building quality of life tweaks. Path and fence tools now open with replace mode, switched off by default, which saves you from accidentally bulldozing a perfect curve just because you popped into the tool to extend it. And yes, pylons can now string power between islands on island generator maps, which sounds small until you're actually trying to make that dream archipelago layout work without a clumsy daisy chain of substations. PC players get a few visual upgrades worth toggling the settings menu for. There's a new very high foliage detail option, and a preset that claims to be very high actually uses those intended values now. On top of that, feathered dinosaur lines are improved for lower spec hardware, which is a fancy way of saying you'll notice fewer janky transitions as you move the camera and a bit more crispness at distance. If you love a dusk screenshot where the backlit ferns glow and a juvenile's plumage catches the light, flick this on and take a fresh tour of your favorite spots. It's the same park, but it photographs better, and that matters to a builder's soul. The update also revises how you protect the little ones. The old aggressive animals sandbox toggle has been replaced by vulnerable juveniles. The new logic is smarter and more consistent. Flipping it on shuts down all attacks on juveniles, not just attacks from the same species. Combine that with the fight frequency setting at none or cohabitation set to all like, and you've got multiple levers to create truly tranquil family exhibits where the kids can actually grow up without turning your notification feed into a crime report. If you've been dreaming of generational displays, parents browsing while a juvenile shadows them along the tree line, this is the moment. It also means you can run guided tours through youthful enclosures for those squeal-inducing guest reactions without bracing for tragedy. Guest-facing goodies got a polish too. That dinosaur encounter attraction, the one that basically creates set-piece moments, now has an added food scattering animation for visitors and some tuning to how often dinos appear in it. It's a small touch, but it sells the illusion that your park lives whether you zoom in or not. I'm a sucker for these micro animations because they make your cinematic B-roll pop. Pan your camera past the encounter area, catch the guests tossing feed, then rack focus to a juvenile ambling behind the foliage line. It's instant trailer material. If you build creator-style parks, clean paths, clear sightlines, composition-friendly angles, this is the kind of 5% better polish that adds up. Let's talk fixes that transform actual gameplay. The one everyone's joking about is the Rex situation. Adult male T-Rex no longer attack their own juveniles. That's not just a funny bullet point, it changes enclosure planning because you can now design mixed-age habitats for star carnivores without building labyrinths of hidden separators. It also fixes that weird cognitive dissonance of calling it a family unit when the family keeps eating each other. With this fix, the Rex finally behaves like a proper apex with parental instinct, not a walking paradox. For players who love realism and storytelling, this is huge. You can now stage those iconic parent and offspring roaring together at sunset shots that actually stay stable long enough to photograph. Predators in general also got a bit more attitude. Deinonychus, Kentrosaurus, and Suchomimus will now attack guests. That's right, your safety ratings just got a little more interesting. If you've been building parks that lean into chaos management, this is your playground. It means fencing choices, ranger routes, and guest pathing matter again. because some of these creatures will test your containment logic in new ways. It's not overtuned, it's balanced enough that mistakes feel dramatic, not punishing. And honestly, it adds that Jurassic tension the series thrives on. A few cohabitation tweaks make mixed paddocks more flexible. Sachalamis and Baryonyx now tolerate each other, and even Lestrosaurus and Therizinosaurus can share space peacefully. This opens new creative combos. If you like designing themed ecosystems, you can do swamp biomes or forest edges with variety without constant alerts. It also gives sandbox builders more reasons to experiment rather than defaulting to one species habitats. There's also a long list of mission and campaign stability fixes. Several story paths that previously soft-locked or failed to progress properly, like Badlands, Hawaii, Biosin Sanctuary, and Japan, are now cleaned up. Juvenile following behavior got reworked, so you'll actually see young ones trailing their parents naturally, instead of teleporting or wandering off into invisible corners of the map. That's another subtle but satisfying immersion bump. When a juvenile keeps pace beside an adult, your whole enclosure feels alive instead of scripted. The balloon tour attraction got a little love too. You can finally zoom the camera while riding it. Simple, but it's the kind of change that makes in-game cinematography easier. You can track dinosaurs from a distance, reframe your shots, and even record smoother pan transitions for showcase videos. It's one of those features that seems minor until you realize how often you wanted it and couldn't have it before. There are also smaller user interface tweaks that collectively make controls smoother, especially for gamepad players. Time controls now highlight focus properly. Help screens have been added for new systems, and a quick double-click on paths or buildings groups them for faster editing. None of this screams for attention, but it trims the friction from long sessions, which is what separates a pretty good management sim from one that flows. What's cool about this update is that it balances spectacle with subtlety. Sure, Kentrosaurus grabs headlines, but the heart of the patch lies in all of the invisible quality of life work that makes your park hum. It's like tightening every bolt in the Jeep. Nothing flashy, but everything runs smoother. You'll feel it when you go a full in-game week without seeing a random path glitch, or when your rangers actually manage to sedate a panicking carnivore without 3 missed darts. If you're starting fresh, my advice is to play a few hours in sandbox mode just to experiment with the new vulnerable juvenile setting and the smarter movement. Build one enclosure with layered decoration, logs, rocks, dense plants, and test how the dinos weave through it. You'll see behaviors that didn't show up before, like herds passing each other more organically, or individuals using shaded spots you used to think were blocked. Then, bring that knowledge back into your main campaign or challenge save. You'll start designing enclosures with more confidence that your aesthetic choices won't break the AI. Performance-wise, the very high foliage option is worth testing, even if you think your system can't handle it. Surprisingly, optimization on this patch seems tighter. Feathered dinos look cleaner, frame pacing feels smoother, and camera transitions across water-heavy maps have fewer stutters. If you're a screenshot fanatic or you run cinematic mods, this is the moment to revisit your visual settings. And for those who love narrative playthroughs, the Rex Fix and Juvenile improvements change storytelling. You can finally do generational exhibits, watch a youngster grow alongside its parents, and actually keep them alive through adulthood.